Do you have a story to share with the world? Of course you do. We all have stories to share. An Anchor podcast allows you to share your interests in a way that connects to others all across the globe. If you have been considering starting your own podcast and don't know where to begin, Anchor makes it easy to record, edit, and publish with the click of a button. You can even add music. Whether it's crime dramas, self improvement, paranormal adventures, or tips about parenting, you too can share your unique imprint on the world. Download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started today. You've got this. I believe in you. Welcome to the Existential Empath Podcast. My name is Tanya, and I am an intuitive empath. My intention is to share valuable tools and techniques that I have learned so you can tap into your own inner healer naturally and intuitively. Welcome back. I hope you are all doing well. Today, I wanted to talk a little bit about why we return to destructive relationships and how to move ourselves out of that. And I am recognizing this with a lot of my clients that they are asking for guidance or assistance in this area. So many use the word toxic or there's a lot of words that you can use, but I like the word destructive because it is kind of harmful when we're in these relationships and they're very disempowering. And so I wanted to just kind of first briefly talk about why we return to these relationships and how we can move forward, out of them. So there's several reasons why we return to these destructive relationships. One being we may not want to lose the investment of all the years that we've put in to this relationship. And so it's like we almost get comfortable in the uncomfortability of being in a relationship that no longer resonates with us anymore. However, behind that is the underlying emotion of fear. We're fearful of the unknown. We're fearful of not having that comfort of that person being there with us. We're fearful of being alone. We're fearful of what maybe the future may look like. And so we kind of sit in it and we get stuck, and then we get, kind of comfortable in the uncomfortability of being with someone that we no longer want to be with or we no longer resonate with. Or, if you're an empath, our empathy does have us feeling responsible sometimes for the pain of that person. And if we can't leave the relationship, and this can be a romantic relationship, it could be a friendship, it could be a family dynamic, we get really caught up in that, and it can be very harmful to us because we are not empowering ourselves, because we are actually giving our energy to someone else or to the relationship, and it's just draining it so much that it's draining our life force energy. And so we have that fear of being lonely. And in my latest podcast, I talked about the difference between being lonely and being alone. And so, when we move through these times in our life where we are connected with others in relationships, and then there's times when we are alone, ask yourself, are you more on the spectrum of being alone? Or are you more on the spectrum of being connected? And if you are connected, are you alone in that relationship? Do you feel lonely in that relationship? And I can definitely speak for that. I was married for 10 years, and through a large portion of that marriage, I felt alone and lonely in that marriage. And that person was there often. And I felt very lonely because I felt very disconnected, even though I was in a relationship. But that relationship was very toxic for me. It was something that was not healthy. And it was very destructive, in nature for myself and for him, because we just weren't resonating at the same frequency. But I do feel that we both had that feeling of, being alone and being out on our own, because I had been out on my own before I had met him, and so was he. But, being married for 10 years, it was like we had just adapted to the disharmony in that relationship. And it took a lot of courage for me to step out of that and to move, to move on, to move forward. And I remember when I finally made the decision to move out of the house. I had signed a lease for about 8 months because I wanted to just kind of test the waters. I wanted to see, do I miss him? Is this something that I want? Do I really even want a divorce? And within a week, I knew that was what I needed to do. I knew that's what I wanted. And so by the time that 8 months was up, I was moved out on my own. We were moving forward with the divorce. And so, oftentimes we've got to kind of experience that alternate reality of what it would be like to be alone. And if you're in a relationship and that person is not around and you feel like you're alone anyway, then ask yourself, can you handle that? Can you tackle that life out there on your own? Because the only thing that it's doing is it's lowering your frequency, and it's kind of anchoring you into a timeline that is not giving you happiness or providing you with harmony and balance in your life. And sometimes we just don't want to give up on a romanticized idea of what the relationship may be. And I got myself caught up in this. I would see the potential of the person versus the reality of the person that I was with. I would always have hope that they would get better, or they would do things that would make me happy. But now looking back, I have a much deeper understanding that I wasn't providing those things for myself. I really wasn't giving myself that worthiness that I deserved, and that time and that love towards myself. I was actually seeking it outside of myself, and I was looking toward my partner to do that for me. And he didn't deserve that either. I mean, that's a lot of pressure to put on someone else. And so, oftentimes we have to kind of take the finger that we're pointing at someone else and turn it back around and point it at ourselves, and ask ourselves, what can we do to provide a more fulfilling joy, happiness, love, whatever it may be, into our being, so that way we are overfilling or overflowing with it, and we aren't looking outside of ourselves for that to be created by someone else, or to have that energy come to us through someone else. And so, oftentimes we don't believe that we can do better. It's like, maybe you met someone early on in life, and you've been with them for a really long time, and you've put a lot of time and effort into that relationship, but you're still unhappy. It's just not working, and you know it, and you're just going through the routine, and you feel depressed, and you're like, this is what life has to offer me, and there's nothing else better out there for me. And I've got to say, when I broke free out of my marriage and moved forward, I had never been the happiest as I was in my life. I traveled the world. In those 10 years between the time I had gone through a divorce and then the time I had started a committed relationship, I had gone to more than 50 different countries. And I had just really poured all of that love into myself. And I had done the things that I always desired and I always wanted to do. And I kind of dove into things that I was sort of ridiculed or put down in my relationship. And so it's like my light was very dim in that relationship. And then the moment I got out of it, my light just shined really, really bright. And so I was really happy to be able to move out of that. Now, I'm not saying it wasn't sad and I didn't go through a grieving process when I left that long term relationship. But I think one of the biggest mistakes that we make is believing that our past decisions, whether they're good or bad, allow others to treat us in a way that dishonors us or dishonors our being. And so, most of us get stuck in these relationships because we feel fear of abandonment or rejection or unworthiness. And so, a lot of it is just acknowledging that you have these feelings. I have these feelings of being abandoned or rejected, or feeling unworthy of love, or love unreceived, or all the effort that I put into someone else, I don't receive that love in return. And so when we identify these areas of our lives where we have these feelings, we can consciously explain them and show up for ourselves. We can say, okay, I'm sensing this feeling of unworthiness. Now, let me ask myself, when did I first feel this feeling? Was it back when I was a child? Was I not receiving the love from a parent? Was I not receiving the love from a grandparent? Where did I actually create this? And we talked a lot about in our marriage, we talked about the love bank. We kind of would say, you're withdrawing, more than you're depositing into the love bank. And I really felt like I was having a lot of checks were going out of my love bank and it wasn't being replenished. And I'm sure he felt the same way because we just weren't resonating at the same frequency. And I think, something that we do in relationships is, especially when we're going through an awakening, is we feel as if we can't move forward unless the other person moves forward with us. And that's where we get ourselves into trouble because we are all our own unique individuals, and we're all on different paths, and many of us get into these relationships feeling as if they are our forever relationships when really they're just a lesson. They're just a lesson for us to learn, maybe it's boundaries, or to learn more how to give ourselves more love, or to move through abandonment issues or rejection or whatever it may be. We can definitely hold on to some of these traumas within us. So it's like we have rejection trauma, betrayal trauma, abandonment trauma, or even injustice trauma. Those are the main ones that we pick up as children. And then we carry them out throughout our relationships. And it makes us feel very disempowered. And, when we are lowering our frequency to harmonize with someone else's frequency, we're actually pulling ourselves out of alignment. And that's really, uh, presenting us with a problem, that we are not in alignment with who we are meant to be and who we are. And when we are continually shifting our own vibration or frequency to align with someone else who may be more restricted and we may be more expanded, and then it really just hinders us because they are not resonating at that frequency anyway. So it's like we understand what they're going through, but they don't necessarily understand what we're going through. So the best benefit is for us to align with who we truly are without these people in our lives. And however you can do that, however you can manage that, it's really up to you and how you can move forward and move through that relationship that you're in, whether it's a friendship or a romantic relationship or even a family dynamic. And so, I often hear people will say, I'm in alignment, but oh gosh, these people at work are so negative and I just can't take it. And really, what's happening on a subconscious level is that we feel that they are threatening our alignment. So it's imperative for us to get to a place or to an energy where nothing can waver our frequency. Nothing, no matter what it is, a negative person, a toxic person, a harmful person, whatever it may be, if we are completely fulfilled and expanded within our own energetic field and we are completely in alignment, then none of that can waver. And I know that that can be difficult at times. I definitely sense that and feel that within myself. It's like there are days when I feel extremely 100% in my own energy. And then I'll get around others who may have negative talk or are in a lack consciousness or a victim consciousness. And I'm like, oh man, like this is just affecting me. But what I have to do is I kind of take a step back and I have to realign myself with, you know what, Tanya, those are not your thoughts. Those are someone else's thoughts that are now kind of imprinting on my subconscious mind. And I don't believe in those thoughts. I don't believe in that energy. And I don't give power to that energy to overtake my energy. Now, if I'm getting triggered by it, then I have to sit with it. I have to really sit with it. And I find this happens to me recently. It did actually, where I am in really diligently working on my abundance frequency, my abundance channel. And I am now attracting people who are on a lack channel. And it's almost like a little test for me to master where is my frequency? Do I find myself falling back into the lack vibration? And sometimes I do. And then I'm like, nope, that is not where I want to be. That is not where I want to be. And the universe is presenting me through the holographic image that, through this person that, hey, here is contrast. All right. Do you want to be in a lack frequency or do you want to be in an abundance frequency? And so, when you are truly in alignment, nothing will affect your energy and your vibration or frequency will no longer attract it once you really anchor yourself in to that higher vibrational frequency or into that more expanded vibrational frequency. And so, we get our resonance and our power from our alignment with source, God, higher self, the universe, whatever you want to call it. And so, basically people are here to show us contrast and to show us, what feels in resonance with me and what does not feel in resonance with me. So if you're really focused on being in a certain frequency, and then you have people come into your life that show you a completely different frequency, then it's really just showing you that duality or that contrast. And then at that point, you have a choice to either tune in to their frequency or to hold your frequency that you've been working on. And so once you begin to tune in and choose the frequency that you prefer, that feels good to you, you will begin to recognize that it's a lot easier. That those people that come in with the contrasting thoughts or energy or emotions, you'll begin to recognize that really quick and say, oh, no, 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 not my reality. That is definitely not the frequency that I'm vibing with. And so then you will just naturally tune into your frequency and it'll become a habit. It'll become very instinctual to you, but it does take a little bit of work to get to that point. And so, when we are in these unharmonious or unbalanced relationships, really what it's doing is it's just showing us contrast and allowing us to really feel into it. And if it doesn't feel good, then it's not meant to hinder or harm you. It's really just meant for you to choose a frequency that feels better, that feels good. And we're all just really kind of looking for that relief and looking for that harmonization of what feels good to us. And so, the universe doesn't speak to us, in ways of, words. It's more of an energy. So it's like when we feel into those relationships, and you can really recognize it specifically when you start working on yourself, like if you go into those states of being alone or being more isolated to work on healing any of your traumas or work on your subconscious mind, maybe some reprogramming. When you step back out into the world is when you'll really notice it. And it's almost like those little remnants of what your energy used to be. The universe is kind of presenting it to you as, an option or a choice to, hey, do you still want to be in this frequency? And if you continually choose, oh, yeah, I'll go back into that frequency, then you're actually pulling yourself out of alignment. Because if you have been really working on shifting that vibration or that frequency, then you will notice it. You will begin to notice it a lot stronger, a lot more powerfully. But it's really our choice on whether or not we want to choose to go back, to that relationship. Or if you're recognizing these patterns where, maybe you're dating and you continually keep attracting the same type of partner and you begin to recognize these patterns and you're like, oh, I just keep choosing the same type of person and I don't want that. I don't want that. But I'm working on myself. I really truly am. But when you're working on yourself and then you step out into the dating world and then you have all of these choices, are you still choosing the same types of people based off of your old patterns? Or are you beginning to choose different people based off of the new patterns that you're beginning to set and program into your subconscious mind? And so, I know that this takes a lot of work. Believe me, I've definitely not mastered this for myself, but I wanted to share this in, hopes that it may help some of you out there who may be struggling in these relationships with people. And as we begin to work on ourselves, we begin to expand our consciousness, we begin to elevate our frequencies, we will recognize that certain people just won't resonate with us anymore. And that's okay. But we have a choice to either let it go and detach, or we have a choice to continually hold on to it and allow it into our reality, or to allow it into our programming. And so, some of us are learning these lessons of detachment or disconnection. And it's healthy for us to disconnect for a while, but it's also healthy for us to connect. But are we connecting with the same frequencies that we were before we disconnected and started to work on ourselves? And that's the question that we need to ask ourselves. And as we begin to expand and have a deeper understanding of our own awareness of what's going on in our relationships, we will begin to kind of see those red flags a lot quicker, and it'll be a lot easier. And then the subconscious will pick up on that. It'll say, okay, that's not for you. All right, we're going to bring in some new energy. And when that comes about, you'll have choices as well. So you'll have a choice. Okay, I have, moved into a new frequency, and now I'm beginning to attract these types of people. Is this exactly what I want in my reality or not? And so everything is based off of how we choose it to be and how we feel it. And so when we kind of really sit back in our bodies and feel into these energies, it can act as a GPS system, and it can allow us to expand and grow. Or are we staying stuck? Are we staying restricted in our energy? And so, like I said, this is it's not an easy rodeo for me either, guys. I'm also moving through these situations in my life. And the more that I work on myself, the more I recognize it happens faster and faster. And so it does make it difficult to connect with others because, as we work on ourselves, our frequency shifts so much that it makes it hard for us to really connect in a way. And believe me, I am working on this as well. And so that's why I've been bringing on some speakers recently to kind of talk about these things, to talk about, how do we move back into society after we've kind of isolated ourselves to do some of the healing work? And what does that look like? And so I really hope that this was of benefit or of value to any of you out there who may be experiencing this or going through it. And, as always, I send you all so much uplifting energy and love to help you get through whatever it is that you may be struggling with at this time. And if you're riding the wave, then woohoo, ride that wave. Enjoy it and, tune in to that, because those are the times when you are in alignment. And those are the times when you are absolutely on your path. And so I wish you all well, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care. You deserve to navigate your life as an empath in alignment with health, happiness, and abundance. To learn more about the services that I provide, including Beyond Quantum Healing Hypnosis, EFT tapping, and the Emotion Code, visit my website at www.thesoulcafe.org.